MTV, welcome to my crib. Honestly, it's not really too much to write home about, but I am currently on my road trip down to technically Florida. I'm in Hilton Head, South Carolina right now, but yeah, this is my hotel room. Basically, got all this stuff here, got this crazy setup for my camera to sit on, but we're gonna be recording our video here today. With the new Chase Ink Unlimited and Chase Ink Cash limited time 90,000 point welcome offers coming back this week, right after I applied for the Marriott Boundless credit card, putting me back up at 524 and locking me out from these ink cards, that got me thinking, did I make a mistake applying for the Boundless card right now? In coming to a conclusion on this question, which we're going to be talking about at the end of this video, I realized that there's a very simple framework that you and I can both use in helping us determine what credit card is the right credit card for us to add next. And even if an experience like the one I'm going through right now happens to you, you won't have to second guess yourself ever again. So in this video, I'm going to walk y'all through that 3-step framework to help you avoid ever applying for the wrong credit card again. And I'll be doing that by explaining my personal experience with this right now. And I do want to mention that if you are in the market for a new credit card right now, I would strongly consider getting those 90,000 point offers on the ink cards right now. And I'll have links for those cards in the description for you to make it easy. And using those links, you directly support me in putting out this free content and being able to do it full time, even when my AdSense took a 50% cut like it did this month. So if you do that, I thank you in advance for doing so. Now let's get into step number 1, which is going to be reflect. Oh, and by the way, each one of these steps is going to start with R, so hopefully that'll help you remember it a little bit better. Reflection is really where it all starts though. And what I mean by reflection is that you really need to understand your current credit card setup and what it actually offers you, as well as understand what your future goals are in the credit card game so you don't make a mistake and get a card that actually isn't that good for you. I could and actually have created a full video basically just on this step alone, and I think it's titled something like how to choose your next credit card, and I'd highly suggest that you watch that one after this one if you do want to learn more about this in particular. To extremely simplify that video though, I'll run you through a list of questions right here that you can ask yourself to really get a good understanding of where you're currently at. For one, you want to ask yourself, what stage of the credit card game are you currently in? Second, you want to ask yourself, what are your highest spending categories? Third, are you on team cashback or team travel, or are you a bit of both? Fourth, what perks do you value the highest? Not earning categories, but perks and benefits. And fifth, what are your future credit card plans or dreams or aspirations or whatever you want to call it? Of course, your answer to each one of these questions is going to drastically change which credit cards you should be looking at applying for, and that's why I want you to run through these things in step 1. To make this more concrete for you, I'm going to go through how I would answer each of these questions so we can be off on the right foot. Personally, I currently have 10 credit cards that cover all of my highest spending categories at a very good rate. I am also somebody that's more focused on that team travel side of the credit card game right now. With that being said, the perks and benefits I value right now are going to be ones that help me to travel for free or close to it, and more than that, help me to travel in a more luxury style. So that means I value things like annual travel credits or hotel statuses or lounge access and stuff like that. And as for my future credit card plans right now in this season of my life is to add multiple different hotel cards to my setup so I can test out which one is actually going to be the best fit for me so I can start to chase more status. If you were to ask me these same questions a year from now, obviously my answers are going to be very different, but that is the fun part of the credit card game. You get to keep iterating and making changes to your setup, but if you don't start by reflecting, then you're going to be off on the wrong foot. With all that being said though, now we're in a good start to continue on to the next step, which is step number 2, and that is roadmap. Y'all already know how much I love a good credit card roadmap. I mean, heck, just look at the videos I've already made on them. While you may think that the amount of roadmaps I've created is excessive and that you don't really need to do that to get value from the credit card game, I would actually argue against that. I wouldn't necessarily say that you are personally wrong for thinking that, but I would say that this is wrong for a lot of people. For example, if your goals are to really just add whatever credit card you can at whatever time you really want to, while also risking locking yourself out of certain lenders by doing that, that's a choice that you get to make, but I would argue that's not the most optimal approach to the credit card game. Personally, I just think a credit card roadmap gives you some good intention behind your credit cards and your credit card strategy, and they really are there to just serve to point you in the right direction and open your thought processes up a little bit rather than you just having to stick to them super firmly. As a matter of fact, I would say that if you only ever create one credit card roadmap and just live and die by that roadmap, you're doing it wrong. And we're actually going to talk a lot more about that in step number 3, so get ready for that. As for step number 2 though, kind of in line with what I just said, I would argue that you don't just want to create one credit card roadmap, but you want to create at least a couple of them so you can see, which route is actually best for you, especially if you're somebody that, like me, has a bunch of different routes they want to take in the credit card game having multiple roadmaps and not locking yourself in there really helps. This is actually exactly what I did that prompted me to get the Marriott Boundless credit card a couple weeks ago. And if I wouldn't have created multiple credit card roadmaps with different options for myself, I may not have even gotten this card and really shot myself in the foot. When creating your credit card roadmap, there are just a lot of different things to consider, like Chase's 524 rule, Amex's 5 credit card limit, your number of hard inquiries and credit cards added in the last 12 months if you're going for a card with a lender like Citi or US Bank, for example. And that's why I've not only created a free spreadsheet that you can download below if you want to, start road mapping out your setups yourself, but it's also why I'll be starting a credit card road mapping service that y'all can basically sign up for to talk directly with me and have me help walk you through creating that roadmap for yourself. And of course, that's not just going to be one roadmap, but we're going to be able to talk through multiple different paths you might want to take. And we'll also be talking about how to optimize your current credit card so it's not just future planning. And the reason I want to do this is because it's really not a one-size-fits-all approach. While yes, you can follow through with these steps in this framework to build out a credit card roadmap, for one, people just don't always have the time and energy to put into something like that. And I know from experience that even if you do create one yourself, you start to figure out a bunch of different issues that kind of stand in your way. So I'm hoping that me helping you through that process will really streamline your success in the credit card game, and that's the ultimate goal with it. Once that service is live, it will be the first link down in my description, so be sure to check that if you're watching this at a later date. And if it's not live just yet, go ahead and leave a comment down below letting me know if you'd be interested in this service and what you'd want to get out of it. Okay, now we know that step 2 is to roadmap out your credit card setup after you've already reflected in step 1 on what your credit cards currently give you and what your goals are going forward. So with those first couple of credit card roadmaps ready, let's go ahead and move on to step number 3, which is arguably the most important piece. And step 3 is going to be reevaluate. As I mentioned previously, there is definitely a danger in only creating one credit card roadmap and sticking to that through thick and thin. I'd honestly argue that if you're sticking to one credit card roadmap for 6 to 12 months even, you may be doing it wrong. I say that because, well, let's just say that I personally stuck to the exact credit card roadmap that I built most recently, which I made a video about, of course. If I stuck to that 1 to 2 year plan, that would mean that if any new credit cards come out, like the Citi Strata cards, for example, or some cards came out with elevated bonuses on them that are further down in my list, I would be foregoing all of that value just because I'm sticking to my one plan. As you can tell, that's obviously not a great move if you're trying to get the most value you can from the credit card game. Heck, even that most recent roadmap changed just a few days before I applied for the Marriott Boundless credit card, and it changed because the Boundless credit card came out with a limited time 5 free night welcome offer on it that I just could not pass up on. As y'all know, I was originally planning on getting the Chase Ink Unlimited as my next credit card here in September, and I actually had no intention of even getting any Marriott cards this year, but thanks to my friend Stan the Credit Frog, who not only introduced me to the world of Marriott credit cards, but it seems like the rest of the credit card community, I decided that I did want to at least open up my abilities to get the Ritz-Carlton credit card down the line, which meant that I wanted to add the Marriott Boundless to my roadmap. Again though, I only had that card like as number 3 or 4 on my list in the next year, but when that 5 free night offer came about, I knew that I needed to shift it to the top, and that caused me to completely change the rest of my credit card roadmap, which I kind of discussed in that video. However, did that cause me to miss out on the 90,000 point Chase Ink card offers right now? Yes. But did that make getting that credit card the wrong move? We're going to talk about that here in a minute. Another way you can think about this step number 3 is not just reevaluating, but just being flexible, because not only do we want to create a couple of different credit card roadmaps in step number 2, but we want to be flexible enough to keep iterating those roadmaps. That way we know that we're going to maximize our value. Reevaluating your credit card roadmap can literally gain you thousands of dollars in value from the credit card game, so that's why it's so important to keep your fingers on the pulse. Again, even though this whole entire 3-step framework seems pretty simple at a bird's eye view, as you can see, the nuances of it get pretty hairy, but that's honestly why I'm so passionate about helping people create their credit card roadmaps. There's only so many I can personally make for myself, but there's an infinite amount of possibility out there whenever I get to talk to you guys. And honestly, I just want to help you make your dreams come true in the credit card game, no matter what kind of strategy you want to take. Now, this step 3 reevaluation step does beg the question, did I make the wrong decision in applying for the Marriott Boundless credit card? My straightforward and firm answer is no, I did not. But let me explain why I say that based on the following 3 reasons. Number 1, the Marriott Boundless 5 free night elevated offer is one, if not the highest welcome offer this card has ever come with. So in terms of me wanting to just get a massive bonus right now, I achieved that. If I would have applied for this card without that elevated offer, and then these ink cards came out with the 90,000 point offers, then yeah, I'd be pretty pissed. But again, since I did get that offer, I'm pretty stoked about it. Number 2, I had over $3,000 in purchases that I had been putting off for months in order to, use those purchases towards a sign-up bonus. And some of those purchases due dates were coming up within like the week that I applied for the Boundless card, so the 90,000 point offers on the ink cards would not have even been out yet by the time I needed to apply for a new card. Then again though, if the Boundless card did not come out with this elevated offer, I would have applied for the Chase Ink Unlimited with the 75,000 point offer, and if Chase didn't end up giving me that elevated offer, within the 30-day window that I would have gotten it, that would have made me even more mad, and just is another reason why this actually ended up being a good decision for me. Lastly, as I noted earlier, I did want to start my Ritz-Carlton clock as early as possible, because if I did wait to get the Boundless for another 3 or 4 cards down the line, I may not be eligible for the Ritz card for an additional 1 to 2 years from the time that I applied just now, and that then would have just limited my options, which is why I'm very comfortable with the decision I made. As you can tell, all things considered, I think I made the best decision I possibly could given my constraints and the actual information I had available to me at the time. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, this 3-step framework will not only help you pick the next right credit card for you in steps 1 and 2, but in step 3, you're also going to be able to have that peace of mind that the decision that you ended up making was the best one for you. And that's even if something unexpected like what just happened to me with these ink cards happens to you. All we're trying to do here is maximize value and minimize regret, and I'm hoping that this video explains exactly how you can do that. Again, if you are interested in applying for a new credit card right now, I'd highly suggest that you go down to the description and check out the links for those 90,000 point offers on the Chase Ink cards. Even if you don't have a real LLC or anything, you are still eligible for these cards, so click on those links to learn more about them. And if you're interested in that road mapping service I talked about, please be sure to leave your comments down below about how I can make that the most valuable for you possible. If you want to go more in depth on each of the steps that I mentioned in this video, I've made a couple of videos that you can watch next to do just that. Since I am in South Carolina at the time of me recording this, unfortunately Odin can't be here at the end of the video, but either way, both of us want to say thank you so much for watching to the end of this one. If you did enjoy it, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel, and we'll catch you guys next time.